We all know the 992 GT3 RS is an absolute weapon, but what can it really do in the hands of a pro driver? This is Driver's Paddock, and along with MTech Auto, we're here to answer that question. Our guest and friend of the channel, pro driver Michael DeMio, is here with us today to pilot the car at CSCS Event 1. Mosport DDT. Not a high downforce track where the RS would really shine, but a real test of its suspension and composure through the tight, twisty corners. Can Michael and the RS hold back some of the heavy hitters, including the Can-Jam STI, full time attack build M4s and M3s, McLarens, factory race cars, and more? A little bit about our pro. Michael has years of experience in Pirelli World Challenge, Porsche GT3 Cup Canada, drove with Compass Racing in an Acura NSX GT3 car, drove an IMSA in a Mercedes AMG, with countless race wins and podiums. I'll shut up, let's watch him drive, and at the end we'll get his thoughts on the RS. Let's go. then 128.6.
Wow.
Beat him by a second and a half, though.
Wow.
Yeah, good job. Yeah, you beat that crazy SCI by a second and a half. Congrats, man. Fastest of the day, of course.
Thanks, buddy.
Good job, man.
Wow.
Good job, man. Yo, little dicey in 6. Eh?
Yeah.
A little sideways.
Yeah.
Good job, man. That's crazy.
Oh.
Good job.
Number 251 at Dula Sinan.
My hands are yeah. Wow.
Fast, eh, the car? All right, interview
But
done.
you have to be like, you have to be so aggressive, man.
Let me interview you. So everyone, we're here with Michael DeMio, and we had a couple days to process, and we reviewed some of the data, some of the telemetry. And first off, I want to start by saying that he only had 7 hot laps in the car, and he's been out of a car for about a year, which is absolutely crazy. So his lap time is honestly unbelievably fast, faster than a fully race prepped car on slicks, which is incredible. So Michael, I know you've driven a lot of different cars, the Porsche Cup cars. How does the 992 GT3 RS compare to a Porsche Cup car?
It's pretty shocking how similar it felt, even though it being on street tires.
Yeah.
The 992 RS. It was just crazy for me to have to think like it's a street car, but it's reacting like a race car would. And the harder I would push it, it was just never really skipped a beat. It just, yeah, amazing, amazing car. And
Yeah.
even the setup that was on it too, wasn't specifically for the track we were at, which kind of gave me some challenges, but yeah, like we can talk about it later, what I had to do to adapt and make that setup work with what we were dealing with on Sunday.
Yeah, because you were telling me in person right after that you had moments where you felt like you were in a cup car, right? So how is the braking, the steering, the cornering speeds? How does that compare?
Some aspects are really similar, and then some are completely different. And you know, like it reminds you that you're in a street car. Most importantly, and most, I would say, you know, the biggest difference would be braking. Cup car has no ABS, or the version I drove, the 991.2, had no ABS, and you know, really big, powerful brakes. So you would have to be careful of locking up. With the street car, street tires, but with you know, upgraded brake pads, I was getting a lot of ABS intervention. So it would, some corners it was okay, manageable, and I just adjusted my pressure. Other corners with heavy braking zones, it was really challenging, because the car feels like it's so aggressive and set up, and it could take whatever you're gonna do to it. But yeah, just the braking was, I would say, the weakest point. And we could alter things with the alignment and the setup to help it. But on Sunday, I would say that was the biggest thing that kind of stopped me from going even faster.
Yeah, so we took a little bit of the telemetry, and Michael was saying that he had to push the car harder and harder and harder in the car to go much faster. And the reason for that is we had the car over at the big track, Mosport GP, and that track boasts the highest average speed of any track in North America. So the setup was quite aggressive, and it just wasn't right for the small track. Michael, you want to expand a little bit on that?
Yeah, and it's also hard driving someone else's car and pushing it to a limit that it was still, you know, it's still being safe, but the setup that was on it makes you want to, like, I knew that it was set up for a high-speed track with, you know, lots of aero and downforce helping with that setup and alignment. So I was just thinking, okay, I'm gonna treat it like we're at a faster track. So carrying more speed through the corners to, you know, make the alignment work, make the car kind of roll over and use more of the tire, make the suspension compress more. Because the first session, it was all new to me. This was my first time driving an RS, a 992 RS on the track. I've driven one on the street, but can't do anything on the street that the car is built for. So cornering with the alignment, how we had it, it was tough, but I just adapted to how I was driving to make the alignment work for the track we were at, which
Right.
is something like something I've done with everything that I've driven. Like, I just adapt how I can drive to the conditions or to how the car is and how the tires are degrading, and just overcome and just make it go as fast as it can go.
Right. So, we did a lot of, we played as much as we could with the tire pressures. Like I said, we only
Yeah.
had 7 laps, but I did do some temperature probing, and the car was running way too much front camber.
Yeah.
Right. Even pushing it, Michael first session into the 28s, like high 28s in the first session, 3 laps. Even the outsides, they were not they're not getting really hot enough actually. Right.
Yeah.
So we couldn't change the alignment on the track, so we wanted him to just heat up the tires as best
Yeah.
as he could, and on lap 3 just go as fast as he could. But running too much camber, like at a fast track like Mossberg GP, yes, you can run a ton of camber in the front because there's a lot of G-force, a lot of long sweeping corners where you can really like dig the tire in and make use of the aero pushing the tire into the ground. But like a small tight track like DDT, our setup definitely wasn't optimized. The contact patch was not optimized, and I can confirm that with the parameter, the pyro work we did, as well as like just looking at tire pressures and the way that he had to drive it. So you had to drive pretty aggressively.
Yeah,
right?
like we had, by the third session and the timed session, I think we nailed the tire pressure.
Yeah.
We won't tell anyone what it was,
Yeah.
but we started off, I would say, pretty low.
Yeah.
For the conditions too, because it was kind of hazy and raining a little bit. But I think we adjusted every single session, and when it counted, we nailed it bang on. Like
Right.
it was on the third push lap, it was perfect.
Yeah, the tires were definitely on, but I think we need to run a little less camber
Yes,
at that track.
ideally,
for
yes,
sure.
but there's no, we didn't have time, and I would have liked to made some
alignment changes.
alignment changes and recommendations with other things involved in the setup. I did make some adjustments with the steering wheel, compression and rebound, because I don't know how the car was set up before, or if someone did adjust it from stock settings, but I did play around with it a bit, but I didn't want to make too much drastic changes because I didn't know how it was going to react.
Right, and we just had so little time.
Yeah, there's no long straights on that track to to click and turn the dial and check what you're adjusting.
Yeah, just not enough time. Also, DRS doesn't work unless your steering wheel is totally straight.
Yeah,
and you're pinning the throttle. So
there was in the onboard. You can see me like trying to push
fiddle
the
with
button
it,
there's too many rules that have to be, too many boxes that have to be checked off with the car for you to allow it to open.
Yeah.
But it's just a learning experience. Like next time, we can nail more things, and I'm pretty confident with newer tires, even though they're street tires, but newer tires would still make a difference.
Those tires, by the way, have a couple of track days on them. So,
it's a good thing we were only pushing for 3 laps, because at the end of the third lap, it was starting to overheat the tires.
Yeah. So, Michael, I've seen a lot of your driving. We've been to a few track days. I know you as one of the smoothest drivers that I ever know, and just looking at the data, like your lateral G just hits like right away. It's amazing how you can just immediately get the car to the limit. For me, I kind of overdrive a little bit sometimes, but can you talk about what happens when you have too much camber in the front and how you have to aggressively drive it?
I felt like I was overdriving the car on Sunday.
You kind of had
for
to, though.
like a couple of reasons. We're not really, I'm not at the stage to go and just have fun, we go for a goal to be the fastest and win. And that doesn't matter from, a race or any competition. There's a lot of time and a lot of money and resources that are, cost everyone. So, like we go and we have to go to win and be the fastest. But I would say I was driving, like the first session, I didn't expect to even be the fastest. I didn't know what a fast time was at that track. but I just thought we have limited running. Like you said, I only did 7 like push laps or hot laps. I had to find the limit of the car right away so I could, you know, change my line if I had to, or change where my braking was, or change how much I was trail braking.
Right.
Which, yeah, and it's just all comes down to just the seat time and the limited amount of running we had. But I think we still did
Absolutely
pretty good.
amazing. Yeah, I think in terms of a street car, definitely on a street tire, definitely the fastest that has ever gone around that track, with non-slicks, non-fully, race prepped car. I know it's a GT3 RS, but the time is just like absolutely insane. So Michael, I have an idea. I've taken a look at the data and the telemetry. If we were to optimize the setup and with optimal conditions, new tires, we give you some more time in the car, what do you think the car can do?
If we tested more, had new tires on, and ideal conditions, I would think a second and a half.
A second and a half.
Yeah.
Wow. I know part of it is like it's a brand new GT3 RS, $500,000 car, and
the wheel. I've found out the wheels are pretty expensive too.
Yeah, the wheels are pretty expensive.
It had to have magnesium wheels on it.
Yeah, and the way that he takes the curbs, you could just see the car kind of fly over it. He doesn't take it. A lot of people really attack that curb right on like the really high parts of it.
We have a pretty good video.
Yeah,
too,
I see you like attack it perfectly, and yes, the wheels are fine.
It's funny you say that. I used to race at that small, like that driver development track when it was like a dedicated development track, and there was kart races hosted there, and some of the corners are the same that I used to drive around when I was karting, and like I kind of learned how to drive over those curbs and not have it, scrape the bottom of the cart.
Yeah.
And same thing with this, because like you said, it's a $500,000 car.
Yeah.
So yeah, the way can't just go jump over a curb and then not expect something to happen. So yeah, the line that you take is definitely important to make the corner as short as possible without going over the track limits. And also not damaging the car.
Yeah, and making sure that a lot of people have a lot of steering input when they go over those curbs. That's how you hook a wheel, or you like scratch the inside of the wheel. But like just the way that you fly over the curbs with that commitment, but also like really smooth, is like a really beautiful thing to see. But the theoretical of those 7 laps, and a little bit in turn 1, a little bit in the back hairpin, and a little bit in the last complex. So in the 128.5, there was another 0.6 seconds just with your driving.
Oh,
so
wow.
we could be in the 27s. That's freaking crazy. Just with that setup, with like just looking at the V box,
with those tires,
with those tires, everything. Another 0.6 into the 27 is unbelievable. And I know this guy has more in him. Like just 7 laps hopping in. Like even F1 drivers, they need time to like adapt and multiple sessions, multiple laps just to get in and drive. But just like this is a crazy lap time, and it's amazing to be part of it. But Michael, any shout outs to any people?
There's a bunch, and we could be here all night talking about everyone that's helped me get to this point. But my family's invested a lot of time and money over the years. Compass Racing gave me my first opportunity in touring cars. The Porsche GT3 Cup teams I raced for, Open Road Auto Group out of BC, they're amazing organization. Compass again gave me my first drive in a GT3 series.
Which you did absolutely amazing, by the way. Podiums, wins.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
And then, most recently, Thay's competition in IMSA GS class in the Mercedes GT4.
Yeah.
Which was a great experience. Just happy to have the experiences and be able to help out MTech Auto when they need to prove what they can do.
Yeah, and on that note, shout out to MTech Auto. If you have a BMW, Audi, Porsche, or any car for that matter, they do modifications, race consultation, prep, maintenance, everything. They're absolutely amazing. We're in the GTA. Come check us out. Or if you want to just hang out, we're always here. But thank you so much to Michael DeMeo, pro racing driver, for hanging out with us with the weekend. And I'm definitely going to be studying that telemetry and seeing how I can find a couple tents myself. But thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.